So-
It's not a council meeting, right?
No, no.
No, so this is a
Community
town
meeting.
hall meeting. And we would like everybody to sign in on the sign-in sheet.
Yeah.
We have to turn that in for the grant. And so Thomas Turk, our city engineer, has done tons of work on this project for trying to get this grant. So we don't have the grant yet, but we just need to know what the public thinks about it. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, thank you. My name is Tom Turk. I'm one of the principals at Freeland Turk Engineering Group. Like the mayor said, we've been working on this pretty hard for the last month or two. And then when we did the initial application months ago, we did a cost estimate. So, how many of you were at the first workshop? So, and you two are not. So I'll start kind of from the beginning. So the city of Martindale has committed to submitting a detailed application for something that's called a TxDOT Transportation Alternatives Grant. And the core of the grant program is to construct pedestrian and bicycle facilities throughout the state. There's the grant pays for other things too, but the core is to promote bicycle and pedestrian facilities. And so the city of Martindale, about a year ago, became interested in this grant and asked us to do some concept work to see what a project might look like. We did that and we put together a cost estimate, and along with Langford, we put together an application. When was that? Back in the fall?
No,
More like early this year in
Was it early this year? Okay.
February, March.
That was step one of the whole process. And TxDOT looked at our application and said, yeah, let's go to step two. So that's where we are. Step two is a much more detailed application. We have to do layouts and project description, cost estimates, and all kinds of things. So we had a workshop, what, a month ago, more or less?
Yeah.
An initial workshop.
Not too long.
You remember it?
Yes, absolutely.
Got a lot of really good input.
It was a great meeting,
Yeah.
so productive.
I learned a lot. It's input that I didn't have back at the beginning of the year. And we changed things quite a bit, and we left some things alone. So about a month has transpired. We incorporated a lot of things that we heard. And so this is kind of like the next generation of project layout that we have up on the screen. Let me stop right here and say I've got some boards over here. There's a board for every page in this layout. You're more than welcome to walk over there, pick it up, look at it, share it. I specifically made it so you can pass it around and share instead of just having to look on the screen. So that's available to you.
Thank you.
So I believe a couple of weeks ago, you posted the layout, okay? And the layout that's currently up on the screen is a little different than the one that was posted. This morning, we had to make a strategic decision on what we were going to do on Lockhart Street. The layout that's posted shows a 10-foot shared use path just outside the right of way on the east side of Lockhart Street that required several easements. We decided to reduce that to a 5-foot sidewalk that's actually in the right of way, so that we don't have to get, I think we saved ourselves 11 or 12 easements. And that makes our application stronger. The TxDOT takes all these applications that they get. They score them based on the evaluation criteria, and then they rank them and then see how things fall out. We want our application to score really well. And the more easements you have to acquire, the less points you get and the further down you rank. So we wanted to kind of take some of those acquisitions off the table. Plus, there were a couple of homes where it would have consumed their driveway. And would not have been good for that. So we made that decision, and that's reflected now in this layout that you see on the screen that's pasted to the board. There's other really, really minor changes in the document, but that's the most significant one. There you go.
But you still wanted to start at the post office.
We actually went up to A to include some of the crosswalks there because their criteria scores people who connect networks and whatever. So that's kind of why I wanted to go to 80. I wanted to get some of the crosswalks in there to make that intersection a little safer for pedestrians. So to
Yeah.
get some more points.
And that'll also, well, one quick thing, that'll also be good perhaps in the future when the carts bus that goes from San Marcos to Lockhart, that for some reason doesn't stop here. And if the carts bus stops right there at the pack and sack, that would be fabulous. you know? Yeah, so what were you gonna,
I just said that would be great.
okay.
So,
Especially because they're, I'm sorry, I said
no,
that.
go ahead.
No, this is a workshop, yeah, go ahead.
There, especially during summer, there's a lot of kids that ride their bikes up to that gas station to, buy soda or candy or whatever adorable thing they're doing. And it would be great to have sidewalks the whole way there where they can be crossed safely and whatnot.
So what I thought I'd do is I'll just go sheet by sheet and kind of
Yeah.
generally explain what we are proposing to do. Feel free to comment, share ideas, ask questions. We'll stop and we won't go any further until you guys are comfortable moving forward. So, also over here on this table on the right, I had a landscape architect partner of ours come up with some conceptual ideas of the different sections of the trail. There's kind of a connecting section on Lockhart Street. Young man, how are you?
I made it. Sorry about
I
that.
wondered where you were, sir. Good to see you.
Well, I went to another meeting. I had have a little break. Sorry about that, folks. Continue.
So there's kind of three sections of the project. There's kind of a connecting part, which is Lockhart Street. And then you have the downtown area. And then you have kind of like the San Marcos River Reach, which goes out to the east and down to the river. And they came up with 2 or 3 drawings there that have different pictures that were intended to kind of show you things you can do, stimulate some thought to see what you might like, dislike, want to do, not want to do, whatever. So it's meant to kind of stimulate your comments. And then there's a couple more boards there that just kind of show you different types of scenarios for shared use paths around the country. And there's one kind of dedicated to what we do with bike lanes, because we're proposing some bike lanes going right through downtown.
Can I ask a question? Are you busy? I don't want to interrupt you. Are you in the
Please.
presentation? Can you go back up to the map? It would be really nice. I mean, I'm talking long term here. It would be really nice to continue that trail on the other, say, on the opposite side of our phase 1 park, and continue it all the way up, back up to downtown. You follow? See where you had it circled?
Mm.
Continue going all the way up, just all the way up to Southeast River Road. No, the other side of the road.
Oh,
Go all the way up. Make a complete loop. All the way. Yeah, all the way this way.
All the way up to the triangle.
Right to the triangle, up to Southeast River Road. Keep going, yes.
There you
Keep going. Let me finish. Keep going. Okay, let me give you my thought
so
here.
what is behind that?
Let me finish and I'll give you my thought. And then continue on the other side. No, towards downtown.
Okay, that's crossing the highway.
Okay. Just keep cross Southeast River Road, continue.
They're numbered.
So
They're numbered.
towards
kidding.
downtown?
Just, yeah, keep going towards downtown. Go cut downtown, continue all the way to whatever, let's see, back. Okay, right there, stop right there at the curve, right? Where downtown, where Main Street stops. The reason I'm saying that, I think eventually, long-term, this is my personal opinion again, that low area will need to become a parking lot. Because we have very limited use for downtown parking. And once our parks grow, we're gonna have more people coming in. So if you had a sidewalk, you could have people park in the parking lot and then walk to downtown.
Well, we have the 3 lots on Fannin, so the city owns
But I'm
those.
just saying the money part, like I say, just that way, and that way, if you park your car in that area, you could either walk, you don't have to cross 1979, you can walk all the way down to the river, go onto the bridge. And if you go the other way, now we still have a problem crossing 1979, but if you had a sidewalk.
If you just go back and go under the bridge.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, eventually that could be used for downtown parking.
Sure.
So you have a sidewalk going, you follow me?
I am.
I think that's a different capacity of grant though, isn't it? Like, aren't we out of money
That's,
to do that at this point?
So when we kind of rethought all this, we're trying to kind of stay around the original number,
Yeah.
which is about 1.6.
$1.6 million?
okay, Liv, can I have one more point? I'll shut up. My point is, my personal opinion again, I think it's more critical to spend that money this direction than going to the post office.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm saying I would prefer, if it's me, focus our funds on that sidewalk going.
Well, except for the whole point of that is to connect people.
they already
Yeah.
scaled it down to a 5-foot wide path from Lockhart Street to 80 at the Sack and Pack. They've already extended the sidewalk all the way there.
I'm just saying, it'd be great if we had enough money for all that, it'd be
Right.
fantastic, but
Maybe phase 2.
I'm just saying that long-term, that would be, I think what's gonna happen in this town, parking's gonna be an issue. You go to Green, for example. They have an established parking lot,
Mhm.
and you park there and you go to the Green Hall. We do not have any, if that is the most logical place for a parking lot, would be right there, and that way you'd have you'd have a sidewalk going to downtown.
You're brilliant. You're absolutely brilliant. And I think you're 100% correct about that.
Because I think eventually down the road, it's gonna be more traffic, foot traffic going this way to downtown than going to the post office. That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
And
But
I'll,
you've had other people who have asked for that route to the post office, correct?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a matter of trying to make
There's a lot of
everyone
people-
happy with a limited amount of money. And we can always go back once we've got this and.
But I'm just throwing it out there. I
Want
can't.
to do more.
Good idea.
And I'll just throw one thing out, since he's trying to bring the trail from the bridge coming up that way. If you look where it says shared youth use path, where the ATH is, and there's that little rectangle beneath it, that's city land too. So the trail could come up across Southeast River Road
To do
through that parcel of land.
Get in
Sam, can you tell me which one you're talking about?
Oh,
They could follow the river.
why don't you show them up there what you're talking.
No, it's there.
Well, show it.
It's where it says shared use, yeah.
That one?
Right there, and it goes to Crockett Street where the lift station is.
Yes, sir.
I'm just saying we would avoid doing all that, and since we already own the land at the triangle, if we were gonna come up that way, we could come up
Go
through
and
that.
mark a trail so we can all see it.
No, he has a pointer here.
Go
I
on,
don't know what you're pointing at.
We are off track.
Okay,
Now shut up.
the city owns this right here, this lot, and it runs up to the lift station right here at the end of Crockett.
Oh, yeah.
Our lot connects this
Right.
to this, and then we could go that way as well, and we wouldn't have to worry about all the easements we would need,
Oh,
because then
that's
you could just
smart.
get up on Crockett Street and
And
we
walk.
wouldn't have to worry
Also
about that.
smart.
I'm just throwing that in because I think the city has forgotten that we own that land right where that pointer is.
That's a very good point.
And
Okay.
sorry for disturbing, that's it.
No, you're a pleasant disturbance.
Can I ask, why
And so why, if you're doing all that, if there's gonna already be a path under the bridge and you're utilizing that side of the sidewalk?
I think we don't want people to cross 1979 to come
But
back
wouldn't
to
they
the
be
park.
going under the bridge?
Right.
Yeah, that'd be a long way to go to downtown though. If
Yeah,
we're going, if
but
you would establish for
it's
downtown.
a lot better than it used to be because
What?
there is a safe passage route now. And I think that's the point of the grant
Uh-huh.
is to provide those safe
If-
passage routes and.
If we have the money, that would be great for all of it.
Okay, well, let's hear his presentation.
I'm sorry, I'm done. I threw a curveball at you last week on that, changing that whole thing around. I just keep my mouth, I said too much last time.
So let's go to the next sheet there. We'll start at Highway 80.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So at Highway 80 there, I've got some proposed crosswalks in there. And you see where the sidewalk begins and goes down the east side of Lockhart. One thing I didn't really do is pay too much attention to approaches from the west. And that's because I don't sense there's a lot of pedestrian or bike traffic coming from that direction. I may be wrong about that. I don't live here. I don't,
Not yet,
No,
but
I
there
think
will
you're
be.
There will be?
right.
so
I think he's right.
Yeah.
is there
What
something,
you did.
so maybe that's for future phases, or do you want to put something?
Well, I mean, from the low income apartments, we do have a couple of people that walk downtown. So I think helping them get across and then walk downtown is a fabulous idea.
Yeah. Don walks down there every day,
Every
practically.
day.
Okay, so then we should extend a sidewalk past the convenience store?
Past the
Mm.
sidewalk?
No,
I think what you have for
And
now,
here?
Crosswalks are good.
I think the one on the left, on the west side is fine for now. I mean, there's no need for funding a sidewalk there on the west
or
side.
are you asking us one or the other?
You're talking. No, I'm asking you, do you think we have enough sidewalks
North side.
in this intersection?
Yes,
Yes.
I guess it all goes out of the money too.
right.
But it's running from the crosswalk all the way down along, oh, I see on Lockhart Street. Yeah, I was looking at it the other direction. I see it now, yeah.
That's where it ends.
Or
Guess you would kind of go that way.
Yeah, I think that's enough for now, and we can do a phase 2 and include a lot of these other fantastic ideas later.
I think,
We
I
just
think,
have an excess of money, and I'm not really sure that's the case.
No, that's never the case.
One thing I will say, you may not be aware of, is El Taco Feliz wants to have a drive-through restaurant there. So there will be one or two additional driveways there? One, right? One
where's that?
driveway.
That's the restaurant right there?
Yeah,
They get a,
that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Since we're doing the crosswalk with there and it's with that stuff, would we be able to get the pedestrian?
Perhaps.
Crossing
Uh,
button.
Crosswalks are really touchy with textile. In fact, I'm showing these because I want them, but I think textile will probably say no. But we should put them in there, make it known to them that we want them, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's got a warrant, there's got to be enough pedestrian
Why do
traffic.
they, that's what it's volume of people.
to-
You know what, we'll all start walking across, putting our lives in our hands. So
I
that
did it
we can-
once.
I would not do that.
I just think like if we're gonna, present it with the crosswalks, that the most logical thing would be also to include the pedestrian crossing, safety buttons, just.
Ten signals?
For sure.
All right. Next sheet. So this is the area that goes past the church and then the post office. Not much can be done on the post office side of things. They don't have a lot of frontage to work with, and there's a big tree. And so anyway, we're just gonna put in a crosswalk over to the post office, and that should be all that we need. And of course, we're running a 5-foot sidewalk down Lockhart. Now, just a little tidbit about that. We don't have a lot of space to work with. There's only, depending on where you are, 6, 7, 8 feet to work with. So if you can picture, there's a line of power poles that goes down the east side of Lockhart. So we'll have the sidewalk right at that power pole and then 5 feet over. And that's gonna leave maybe a couple of feet between the sidewalk and the pavement.
What we have right now. Right, exactly.
Which causes some drainage concerns that we'll have to deal with during design. But another option would be to put the sidewalk right up against the pavement. And then perhaps have some kind of bollards delineating the pavement and the sidewalk and providing some protection for the pedestrians.
Having some sort of what?
Bollards. If you'll bring up that bike PDF, I've got a couple of pictures of go to the next one.
Yes.
Go to the next one.
About from San Marcos.
Go to that other PDF. I'm sorry.
Maybe this one?
Yes, see on the left,
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
What are those made of? They're metal.
Those are metal. Yeah, they can be made of concrete, steel pipes. They can be really fancy or they can really be basic.
I saw a trail today in Austin, they have a curb. They got the first place I've ever seen that. They got the pavement, a curb, and then a bike lane.
The challenge that we have with curbs on Lockhart is that they block drainage.
Oh, we don't need that. We don't want to.
We don't want that.
Gotcha.
And plus, we're also
It's a safe.
building in the floodplain, which means we can't
And
fill.
paid water flow.
So that's the challenge we have with curbs.
I would like to see the best protection between the road and the trail for pedestrians as much as possible. Lockhart Street has been repaved now. People are taking advantage of that and driving faster perhaps and are feeling more self-assured. And I just wish that it could be safer for the pedestrians. At least give us that 1.5 to 2 foot separation. And then perhaps the drainage from the road could go into that separation and drain. Otherwise, the sidewalk is practically going to butt up against the road. And so the stuff on the road, the oil, the dirt, whatever, would then run off the road and go right into the sidewalk. So I would prefer to see the separation between the two paved surfaces.
Okay.
I would assume would the sidewalk be lower level than the road, edge of the road?
Slightly lower
But like what you're saying.
because water's going to have to go over it.
You had just said that there's not a lot of space, so then if there's space between the road and the design, that even makes less space that he's able to utilize for the shared path, right?
No, because he said the space that he had was 6 to 7 feet wide and he wants to build a 5 foot wide path. So he still has about 1.5 to 2 feet
To work with.
to work with.
And I don't know exactly what's going to go in there. It's going to have to accommodate drainage. And I'd like some kind of landscaping buffer that makes people feel comfortable walking on that sidewalk, even though you're within a couple of feet of the road. So
You could maybe have some small shrubs there.
that's going to be a challenge. It's just a challenge we're going to have to deal with. I don't have the answer to that one. All right, any other comments on that sheet? All right. Next sheet. Pretty straightforward. Crosswalk there on, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of that street. What's
Oh, there's two of them.
the
Crockett
Crockett?
and I think
And
that's.
Martindale.
Bowie Street.
Bowie.
Bowie Street.
Bowie. Oh, you're on Lockhart. I get you, sorry.
And the next sheet, same thing. Down there at River Road or Main Street, the appraisal district property line shows it already going into the intersection there. And and that proposed sidewalk is gonna follow the pavement more or less. So we may need an easement at that corner there. We may actually acquire that for right away, but that's why that looks the way it does. And then I've got,
I had a question though about that. We got two drains at the end of Lockhart there, one at the school and one at the church. Those are notorious ineffective drains there. And which one is going to be improved with the Northwest River Road grant?
the one there at just before you get to Northwest River Road.
On the right side, on the
Cross
school
drain.
side.
What's it crosses, it goes across Lockhart Street.
At the area where you want to put the sidewalk, or this side on the schoolhouse side?
No, it goes from one side to the other of Lockhart Street, and that'll be replaced as part of the Northwest River Road project.
Okay,
And that sidewalk will simply go right over the top of the head wall.
okay. That's it. Thank you.
All right. And then we started the shared use path basically at the end of the wall for the cemetery. It just seemed like a logical place to start it. I think the driveway into the cemetery is right there. Everybody satisfied with that? Okay. All right. And then as we go down Main Street towards downtown, we have an 8 or a 10-foot shared use path. The alignment is fundamentally the same. There's a row of power poles. We're gonna put the shared use path 1 or 2 feet from those power poles. And that doesn't leave us an awful lot of room between the shared use path and the pavement. And we're gonna have kind of the same drainage challenge that we're gonna have to work out during design.
Is that at road grade?
Yeah. The
And,
sidewalks are gonna be pretty much at road grade, because we don't want to block drainage.
and I went and talked to Steve Fonville with Martindale Water Supply, and along Main Street there, all of the water meters and his water mains go directly underneath where the sidewalk is. He mentioned he would have preferred compacted decomposed granite, because if they have to fix something, all they got to do is dig up that section where the meter is or where the water main is. And instead now you've got 8 to 10 feet of concrete over the main water main that's running all through downtown and where all of his meters are. So maybe you could tell us about how wide that path is and what is it constructed
Would
of?
it hold up long term? But concrete's gonna last a lot longer, isn't it?
Yeah, so for the purposes of the grant application, we're gonna cost it out as concrete, because that's the most expensive.
Yeah.
We decide to do something different later, it'll cost less than we're covering. So,
But if we start getting the flood, low area, it's gonna wash it out.
so
Bonneville can mark his water line.
decomposed granite, let's talk about that.
Okay.
One of the other cities that we are city engineers for is in Sunset Valley, which is in South Austin. And they have miles of decomposed granite. And they have a lot of trails that are in the floodplain, just like you do. And they hold up rather well. They do need to be maintained.
What's maintained?
I mean, they have to go in there and sweep and replenish the decomposed granite every once in a while.
What's the time period on that?
I'm not familiar with,
As needed.
yeah,
So we're talking about costs down the road.
sure, there's.
So
there's
in your
a-
opinion, concrete would be permanent?
Well, hold on, I'm not done talking. There's more.
Okay.
So their trails are simply, they're curb on both sides, and then you have the decomposed granite in it. It's kind of a rust orange color looking. And it's real easy on the feet. It's got a little slip to it, and it's a little easier to walk on than concrete. And it looks like people, and it meanders, and they have a lot of landscape, so it looks nice. Right? There's a new product out, and it's a stabilized decomposed granite, which makes it a hard surface, less maintenance, a little more money, but it's the same thing, it's just a very hard surface. And then shared use paths can also be made with asphalt, concrete, porous concrete. Those are kind of the 3 or 4 popular materials that you can make shared use path of. We don't have to decide that today.
Okay, good.
I'm just telling you, those are the options that are out there. You may want to do decomposed granite down there, concrete here, and something else up there. Who knows?
Okay,
So there's choices there, and we don't have to decide that.
move on. That's all I got then.
All right,
Thank you.
now we're getting kind of close to the young lady's house here, Ms. Rolock. But again, we're staying in the existing right of way. We're next to that pole line through the Long residence, Martindale Water Supply Corporate, Horn. And then when we get to Mrs. Rolock's place, we start to deviate from there and go into the front yard. So we're going to need easements, starting with Mrs. Rolock all the way down to downtown. And
And
we
what's the reason behind that?
we do that so that we can align with that ramp right there at the corner of the building. And
Oh, of the building over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
now keep in mind that we're using appraisal district property line locations, which is not exact for this plan. We're still at a concept level. We want to avoid getting easements from anybody. And during design, we'll actually survey in that right of way. So we'll know pretty much exactly where it is. And I got a feeling it's going to be a little different from what the appraisal district is showing. And we may not need those easements, but to be conservative for the grant, I'm saying that we do. But when we get into design, we'll try to avoid any easement acquisition. So that gets us into the downtown area.
Okay, then this is Carlton.
Yeah. So this is where it gets kind of interesting. So from the west, again, we are tying into the existing handicap ramp that ramps up to that sidewalk right out there. We're pulling the bikers off because we don't want them riding their bikes.
Right,
Outside.
on the side.
And we're putting them out into the street, and that would be a striped bike lane, or it could be a brick bike lane, or it could be colored asphalt, it could be concrete. I mean, there's lots of choices there too. Now, you'll notice there's a gap between the bike lane and the sidewalk. That is essentially for parallel parking. Okay. You can actually flip that. You can put the bike lane right next to the sidewalk and then have your parallel parking. In fact, if you'll bring up the bike, there you go. There's some different alignments of parallel parking versus the bike lane.
I've seen a lot recently in San Francisco, and they've been building a lot of bike lanes. Is that the problems they're having? People in the cars don't see the bikes coming, and they open their car doors, and then the bicyclists hit the car doors. That is looking to be a very unsafe practice now, to have the bike lane on the left side of the car. Because in many cases, of course, you would have a driver and not a passenger.
Yeah.
But I think I don't think that's safe.
Okay, so the only reason I showed the bike lane where it is on that layout is because of those steps.
Right.
Can't have the steps protruding into the bike lane. So if we want to get rid of those steps, put the bike lane there, we can. At this point, the cost is more or less the same. So it's not a decision that we really have to make today. But I just wanted you to know that there's 2 ways to do that.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Carlton?
Oh, I mean, my concerns are, one, keeping the historic look of downtown, which this is unlikely to do. Assume, and what I've seen. And parking, you know, if we're gonna have businesses downtown, that bring in sales tax revenue, I think people have to have a close place to park,
Yes.
as well as something offsite. And
So that provides parking, no,
Yeah,
same as it did, it's just which side of the bike lane.
We're thinking on that silo area, that could be like,
That was Nicholas Styler.
That's who?
Nicholas
Hey.
Styler.
I was just wondering, has anybody gone out there to map this out to measure out how much room we'll actually have if we put a bike lane in that tight downtown district?
yes, there's just enough room to get a bike lane, parallel park, 2 lanes of traffic, and then parallel parking on the other side.
And then is that removing the this existing sidewalk that the downtown buildings have?
We'll be removing but replacing them in the same location so that they are ADA compatible.
So you're talking about the ones that are in front of Carlton's and the city hall's sidewalks, those sidewalks would be replaced by what we're talking about right now.
So the Carlton building is across the street? Okay,
both sides.
okay. That sidewalk is ADA compatible, it's wide enough. The only thing we're proposing there is handrail, it's railing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the steps with.
Okay.
cities.
And we're proposing a railing because of the drop off.
How high
And
does
then-
the railing have
Right.
to be?
The railing is typically waist high.
And we could make a historically correct
Absolutely.
railing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or
Uh,
where,
Over there on that sidewalk.
On both sides.
what side of the sidewalk?
Inside of the sidewalk,
What side of the sidewalk?
along the drop off, where it drops
Street
off.
side?
Yes,
See, I mean, to me, that destroys the historical look of it. There wouldn't have been any kind of railing like that. You know,
Better than
I
people
put
suing the
up, I
city
put
because
up
they fell.
railings where they, in a way that, for the ramp, which was required, in a way that they could be removed if desired for a movie or whatever. We've got a lot of movies shot here. Another source of revenue for the city, as well as PR for the city. You know, to put up something that is not easily removable or doesn't move like 1920s. It's a big mistake, and I would be opposed.
okay. The reasons we have it in there, one is safety. And that's another thing that the grant promotes, is safety. You get points for making pedestrian ways safer. Obviously, there's a drop off there, a railing would make it safer. We can design railings so that it can be easily removed. Slots, pull steel out, pins, so we can design it so that not only does it look good, and look the way that you might want it to look, but it can be easily removed. Well, not easily, but it can be removed. So I think we can accommodate some of your concern. And furthermore, I look at that building, that's my idea of the theme that goes through downtown. The orangish red brick and the green color. I love that. And I'd like to design some amenities and some sidewalk treatments that lead you into the downtown that have that theme in it. Maybe we can inlay some bricks, somehow incorporate the colors.
That's a good idea.
So that as you come down those
That ties
sidewalks,
it together.
yeah, it ties it all together. And that's something that the landscape architects would really help us do. I'm not a creative person. They are. And we've already been talking about what that might look like.
Maybe on the corners, as you said, you could have a rectangular fabrication of bricks that match those bricks.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
But what's the distance of that makes it non-compliant? The height of the
The
sidewalk?
height of the sidewalk.
what is it that makes it non-compliant?
I think the maximum drop off you can have is a couple of inches. I mean, it's
Oh, really?
clearly outside of
And we
ADA.
can put the horse things back here.
Yeah, and so on this side,
What did she say?
Go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom.
so on this side, we plan to reconstruct the sidewalk that goes down the face of this whole building. And it needs to be done to
This
make it,
building,
this whole sidewalk will be replaced.
but not necessarily down there.
Well, we've got.
You talk about Mari's building?
About the state.
No, he's talking about the section at the end here.
Oh, it's the whole row of buildings.
So that there aren't any steps.
Yeah,
and-
and so all that would be ADA accessible. And the railing would match whatever we do on the other side. And I know you like the horse rings.
The horse rings.
We
And this
can,
is our
we can,
opportunity to put in the lamps that you had talked about one time.
yeah, so we can replicate those and put them over here and over there as well. The lighting,
I
there's,
want the historic ones where they are, not where somebody decides that it needs to be moved or placed because for this project or some other.
I think there's just a few down the end, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are.
They can be put back where they are today. Absolutely. We can salvage them, put it back.
But I think that the sidewalk itself is historic and should not be. removed.
Okay. Well, the reason we have it in there is for everything we do has to be ADA. And you get points for that, for converting facilities that are not ADA acceptable to ones that are. So that helps us get the grant.
Vinnie's daughter did a presentation to city council. And once we start doing any kind of building project, we have to bring it up to ADA compliant.
Yeah, but I mean,
So if we get.
historic buildings that do not have. Although I tried to make mine that way and all but one is. So,
What I'm gonna suggest, and I'm glad this has come up. After we submit the grant application, I think the city really needs to do a downtown plan.
Yeah, I think so, that like Carlton and Maury and Crane, I think if we can all meet and,
I think we've sowed some seeds here,
yeah,
and I think we have enough to show TxDOT kind of what we want to do. But before we go into any design, I really think you need a really good downtown plan as to what you want to do. And folks like Men Collaborative can really help you come up with that plan. And all of your concerns can be heard. Gather input from everybody that's interested in the downtown area and come out with something that everybody can live with and be proud of.
That sounds like a good plan to me right there.
Good, what was
yeah.
it?
Yes, ma'am.
My only question was, the sidewalks right now, are they currently owned? Who owns them?
The city.
Okay, so the city owns all of the sidewalks in front of all of the buildings. So
Right.
ultimately, it's
Not
a
across.
matter
not across.
of whatever is good for the city then.
So let me ask you, sir. I've just been looking at Caldwell County Appraisal District information. So do you have a survey that says that sidewalk is yours?
It is mostly.
Most of it, some of it's on the city side, some of it's yours. Okay. Would you mind sharing that survey with me? Okay. I'd like to have that information.
I just had a question about the crosswalk then in front of the cafe on
Yes.
this side. if you're facing the cafe and then his building's on the left, there's like a little step about this big. Will the improvement of that crosswalk plane all that out to one even plane? Or how does that work with the differences in the sidewalk between the cafe and his last building on the right and the other buildings that are on the left when you've got a deviation of this big between the two sidewalks?
So you have buildings that stair step, their finished floors are a little different. So on the, and this is in a very generalized, this is a generalized description. On the, say the inside half of that sidewalk towards the building, you'll have more of a stair step sidewalk. And then on the outside, you'll have, it'll be more rampish. You'll have flat area, slight ramp down, so that people can walk on the left and folks in wheelchairs and impaired will go on the right where it's gently. That's
Okay.
generally how it will work.
That sounds like an improvement. I know we've had some complications with that step before. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
And then we're proposing the shared use path to continue between the two buildings. This is the Carlson building. That's Mari's. Okay.
I own this property as well, and I have been working on plans for development of part of that area
Okay.
sometime, which will involve the brick wall between my building and Maury's.
Okay.
Two entrances, two driveway entrances.
All right.
Driveway or what?
But mainly for what?
So if we were to construct a shared use path, that path could be modified over time to accommodate your development, correct?
Yes, although I'm also going to be putting in, my property extends out to where Maury's sidewalk hits Main Street.
About here, right?
And my plan was to put grease trap, as he has in his sidewalk, in that area. So.
But for the purposes of the grant, TxDOT's going to want to see connectivity. They're going to want to see sidewalk. We could leave that sidewalk out to accommodate your future development, but it wouldn't look good on the grant. What I would suggest, we put in the grant, we build it, and then if it needs to be torn out to accommodate your development, got to be taken out.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to spend money, but when we talk about actually putting it in,
But you have to get the grant.
it's just gonna cost more money than to,
But if they're willing to do that, then let them do it. It's to accommodate you.
who's paying for it?
Well, this grant.
For taking it out as well as putting it in?
Well, there's nothing there now. There's not a sidewalk there now.
I mean, we're not talking,
But when I do my project,
Oh,
if it's in, it's gonna have to be torn out,
no, TxDOT will not pay for that.
and who pays?
Private developer.
well, we're not talking, taking a lot of area out for grease trap. I mean, I had seen
Grease
plans.
trap and other
I mean,
water service, all sorts of things, regular sewer line.
If you want, we could go from a shared use path just to a 5-foot sidewalk. Again, we're looking for that connectivity. That's going to stick out like a sore thumb. We'll lose points because of that.
I don't care if you put it in the plan, if that's coming.
Yeah, so my question is, once we submit the plan, is there any room for amending that plan?
Like, how would we amend it? What are you thinking?
I'm just saying, like, once we submit it to TxDOT, are we able to, like, hey, we actually want to switch some things up? Or are we?
Yeah.
And that's what Mr. Turk was saying earlier about the ground cover, whether it was cement or crushed gravel or the different kinds of things like that. But as far as the basic plan, once we submit it,
I mean, the route isn't gonna change.
Right.
The answer is yes, within reason.
Right.
Let's put it
Okay.
that way. TxDOT understands that when you get into design, things do change. But again, you're submitting a grant, they're evaluating it amongst many other applications. Once you are awarded that grant, you can't deviate too much because then it becomes unfair for some other people who may have missed out. So the answer is yes, but there are limits.
So we need to make it look good and presentable for the grant purposes. You can do slight.
So let's say we put this path in the grant, we go through design, and it's in the project, and you present the city with development plans that suggest that we shouldn't build that. They'll understand, and we can take it out. We have plenty of time to make that decision later.
And like you said, as long as it's showing in the plan, then it would be for the grant, and it doesn't have to be concrete. It could be like cobblestone across, flat, something that won't be too expensive to remove, like the bricks that are inlaid into the ground, or
Maybe that could be
needs to an
decomposed
opening,
granite.
and something, the brick that matches his building.
Sure.
And, you know, if we
That's a good
do
point.
the likeness downtown, to match the colors and the brick, if it does go across, then that would also be something easy to take out.
Yeah, we could build something
Could be
just temporary, easy to remove.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I mean, I just don't want to have to
I understand.
tear down something and then build it back later.
That's a good suggestion. Make it removable.
Yeah.
Or easy to remove. Okay.
And then Mari's building over there, they've already constructed their concrete sidewalk.
Yes.
We're just gonna tie into that on the east end, and you'll notice it takes a rather drastic turn there, and that's because of the large transformer that was constructed somewhere in that area there, prevented us from going straight. So we're tying into the side, so to speak, and people can just,
I don't think the transformer is that far down on.
well, there's also a couple of really nice trees. And that's why it curves down as much as it does. I'm trying to weave between the trees.
So you have to get an easement then from the Jimenez's right there on their corner?
So that transformer is like right. And then there's a couple of trees right here.
Oh, I see. So that's, okay.
Got it. Okay.
All right, and so let's see.
So that's almost your first easement purchase.
Well, we had some on the other side.
By the church. Yeah. Okay.
Now, on this side here, we'll have to temporarily support the awnings, the roof. And we will probably have to enter into some temporary construction agreements to make sure that it's done properly and that we keep your business open and all that stuff.
I'm really surprised that $1.6 million is going to do all this stuff. I mean, in this age with the price of concrete and labor, I'm almost thinking that that's if we get this much done for 1.6 million, that's a pretty good deal, I think.
Well, we'll be coming up with another cost estimate here in the next few days.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Quiet. Be quiet. Don't say anything.
We'll see.
That's Mr. Turk's job.
Okay, that's all.
But again, I can't emphasize more that the city really should come up with a downtown plan before we go into design. Like I said, I've been working with Carrie over at Men Collaborative, and we've got a lot of ideas in our heads about what could be done. We even threw out the idea of maybe you could basically close the streets, just make it a plaza. How cool would that be? You could make it one way. Get more parking. You could make the intersection there with 1979 roundabout, which has the effect of kind of slowing people down.
Would tech stop allow that to happen?
TxDOT's gonna say no, but you have to work on it.
I don't think that's big enough for a roundabout, but maybe it is.
Yeah, that would help slow it
It
down.
Well,
would,
if you
that would-
take
that
the
would-
triangle out.
That would really help Texas. That would be,
And you can put some in
you
the
get
middle of
tech
it.
stop the mile, that would slow down
There
people.
used to be a stop sign there.
I don't know when it got strict.
That is a problem. That's a bad area right there.
Well,
People
Main
walk.
Street used to go straight to 1979.
That's what I've been told, that
Yeah.
there was a stop sign, and that would really slow people down.
That would
It'll
be,
take some convincing.
can you do,
maybe-
you have that
maybe or
ability,
maybe
you have that ability to convince tech stop, they'll see it our way?
And that,
They're kind of throwing us under the bus right now. They always want. Did you see how they stopped their 4-lane road right at our
oh,
city limit?
I saw it.
Oh, yeah.
I called and talked to them about that, and it was like, she was very apologetic. I was like, we're working on it.
Anyway, those are just some, off
That
the
roundabout would be
wall ideas that we're
That
thinking
would be, that would slow those 18-wheelers big time.
about, which TxDOT does not like.
I know.
So, there's always a balance between what TxDOT needs to get out of their roads and what you might want. And it would take a lot of discussion and
It'd be nice just to have a pedestrian crosswalk, or just a light there. But that's gonna be.
so on the end there, when we get to 1979, you'll notice there's a pretty dramatic jog there. Well, there's a big power pole right there and there's a sign right there. And that's the way around it. When we get into design, we may be able to work that out a little better, but for the purposes of the application, that's what we need.
Well, their house is on the market now, so we'll see. It's got a pending sale, so we'll see.
Okay.
It doesn't drain well there. There's a lot of ponding, so I'm gonna put a little money in the estimate to fix that.
That's a bad spot there. It really is.
The shared use path goes right along the property line, inside your property, across the gravel parking area for the park. You'll basically just drive over it. It'll become part of your driveway
This rectangle here, is that
to the right.
this here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it jogs, and then your park is to the right of that. Yeah. And so it's probably gonna work out that we'll incorporate the shared use path into one big driveway.
Okay.
And we'll probably have to do that on Lockhart Street too. We'll build the sidewalk and then the remaining gap will be just a driveway out to the pavement.
Okay.
That's at least what I'm thinking at this point.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the next sheet.
This part. Go to the dot.
There's your crosswalk across from, what's the name of that road?
Fannin.
Fannin, yeah. So Fannin, there's a lot of homes off of Fannin. I'd like one day to extend this trail or sidewalk up into Fannin, but I just don't think we have the money to do it at this point. But I'd like to do that in the future. It's good connectivity.
Where you got the crosswalk going across 1979, it's just going into the gutter of the street there. And why isn't it aligned closer to Fannin Street, where the road is?
Over there, right here.
I think because of the clump of trees.
Yeah, but that's just going down into a culvert, a slight culvert.
So in the future, we would pick up things on that side and extend.
I see, okay.
And for the purposes of the grant.
It's
if
just showing
if
a
it's- If it's
crosswalk.
10 feet one way or another, it doesn't have an
Okay,
impact on.
Okay, it's just showing the crosswalk. Okay, thank you.
All right, and of course, so once we get past
Oh,
that.
man, I like that being that far off the road. That's cool.
So once you get past this point, you get behind the big clump of
Yeah,
trees,
yeah.
and there's a really nice buffer, and it's really nice down there. You'll see I've got a couple of switchbacks in there.
Yeah.
There's a very dramatic grade difference there, so we gotta go down the hill,
That
so
would
we
be
gotta,
cool. That would be really nice, because you're way off 79. That's a great move.
So
So-
you're
Like it.
building down on the grade itself then? You're not building up an embankment adjacent to
No, we-
1970?
Because
We pretty much got to stay at natural ground.
Okay, no, I would have preferred that because the way the water comes and floods in there, if you build any more increasement of the embankment there, it would.
I like
hold the
this,
water
I
back.
like this, but it keeps you away from the cars. It's, you're,
Yeah.
79, that's really bad through there.
Now, I have this shared use path drawn right along the property line. What we're really gonna do is meander.
Yeah.
Once we know where the trees
It's all
are.
city land, there's no issue.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly.
Do what you want, that's city land.
You're so generous.
All right, next sheet.
Put more trails in there.
Hey, Sam, I wanted to ask, or for anybody, like right in through that area, why does it look like we have an RV park?
RV.
Not right there,
Kind of
or,
like, it's right over here, there's a whole bunch of RVs parked over there, like in that area. It's kind of like right there in that curve.
Here?
No, on the side, next to phase one, but I'll talk to y'all about that. I was just
Okay.
wondering, cause I'm trying to look at.
There's some private property owners along the river there. Behind this.
That's a workshop. Yeah, what we were talking about.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
I like it,
Okay,
I like it.
next
Good.
sheet.
Okay.
Again, I'm following the right away line, but it's really gonna meander.
Like there.
All right, next sheet.
Yeah.
So on this sheet, this is where things got a little interesting. On the west side of things, the jog and the shared use path is just so they intersect those dirt roads at a 90-degree angle.
Okay,
Nothing magic about that. It's just safer.
Yeah.
And then on the east side there, I want to take advantage of that existing driveway and create a parking area for people who want to go down to that. What do you call that park? The river? Is it the river park? Wherever you put in. What do you have a name? That's just phase one.
It's
Okay.
so original.
Yeah.
Veterans Park. That's what we
whoever
call
gives
it.
us the most money.
So the city owns that property except for the going track. And it's fairly flat, fairly clear. Be easy to just put some gravel in there and set it up as a parking area, and they can get right on that shared use path and take it down to the bridge.
So you're not going into the old Doc Cochran Schmidt property there? You're
We-
outside of it?
No, we do cross it, and we're gonna get an easement from. I understand the city's filed something.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working on
Yeah.
that. So you would have to, yeah.
Yeah.
Talk more to us about it, maybe.
Next sheet. And so we're counting on being on the Maverick property because in this area of FM 1979, you have some dramatic topography. You have, it's in a cut and it's difficult to stay within TxDOT's right away. It'd be very, very difficult to build it. Inside the Maverick property, it's nice and flat and there's trees, it's beautiful. So we get down to the bridge there, and we'd be taking a right turn, rather tight right turn, going under the bridge. There's a column that's right on the bank. We would be just inside that column. And then we'd come pretty much on the road that exists there today, and then into phase one.
Okay, I don't really mind as much to give an easement on the small triangle that we have on this side of 1979 that's adjacent to phase one. But when you go underneath the bridge and then within that easement where you show the path, we've also already have an easement with the Martindale water supply to have the water line going over to Martindale Falls.
Okay.
And we already have given an easement to AT&T.
Okay.
So I don't know how those easements combine, or if you can build a trail over their easements, we would have to look into some deeds pertaining to that. I know that I thought the right of way or the easement that TxDOT has is 25 feet from the middle or from the edge of, we would need to check that. But I don't like it quite as much that there's a pathway going parallel to my property from where it makes the turn, going all the way up along there, because then I'll have a trail right adjacent to my riverfront property there. I don't know if we could collaborate with TxDOT a little bit and maybe, no, I'm talking about the other side where it goes beneath the bridge and then
Oh, I see what
on
you're
the
saying.
other side there, because see, that's a longer,
No, the other side.
the other side.
Oh, you also own this. Okay.
The other side.
I was thinking of your bottom triangle.
So where you could maybe, no, see where the trail runs all the way parallel to 1979?
Move it closer to the.
You don't like that straight line?
The straight line.
The straight line.
Move it closer to 79.
Yes.
The road.
If you could somehow, maybe we could share a little easement with TxDOT and then maybe give a little bit of an easement, but let's just see. I guess we would just have to crunch the numbers, but I would really like to know how wide the easement that TxDOT has, or the right of way, right where his little blue arrow is.
Well, the line that we show is the best information I have off of the appraisal district website. But we did notice there's a lot of little slivers and what have you. We'll have to sort all that out during design. And we'll certainly work with you on the alignment. But what this shows in concept is the shared use path comes down more or less along that fence line, maybe a little bit inside TxDOT, maybe in some of the easements, and goes underneath the bridge. The exact alignment is we have some flexibility there.
Well, maybe I can talk with Martindale Water Supply and see exactly where their pipeline easement is and how wide of an easement they have, or that they would need to maintain their pipe going to Martindale Falls.
Yeah, so as part of the design process, we go through a utility coordination process.
Okay.
And part of that process would be to identify utility easements and facilities, where their pipelines and their communication lines are. And if we're going to build something in their easement, we have to get their permission along with yours.
Well, I mean, it looks like you will be building something into their easement, because where the trail goes through my triangle and then it crosses in and through the easement, that's all in their easement there. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we build through easements all the time. I
Okay.
mean, we're talking about a big sidewalk. We're only digging 6-8 inches. So it doesn't have a lot of impact on the existing utilities that are there. But we do have to coordinate with them and get their permission to do it. We don't want to obstruct it.
Mr. Turk, you would agree in that area would have to go concrete because of the flood hazard.
I would prefer it. It's just going to hold up a lot better.
Okay,
It's better.
all right.
And you can call me Tom.
Okay, Tom, Mr. Tom.
You call me Mr. Turk, I'm looking for my dad.
Now, in the 2015 flood, we had so much debris on top of there. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe. Football fields.
Yeah, and that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because Martindale is going to be responsible for maintaining this, when it's built. And when you do get floods, you're going to have to go out there and clean it up and probably do some repairs.
We'll be out there with shovels and picks and axes at this point.
Yeah, light her up. Light it up.
So one of the stipulations that they have in their guidance document is that you can't use these sidewalks and shared use paths for internal circulation in the park. And so you'll kind of notice that we end the trail pretty soon after it gets into the city park. What I show there is kind of stretching it.
That's fine.
I think TxDOT will come back and say, move that line back. But anyway,
That's fine.
that's a fairly decent route based on the
Yeah.
topography out there. It's really rolling.
Be nice.
And these sidewalks are very grade sensitive because of the ADA criteria. So I have to find flat places to build this thing. And there's kind of a knoll right there, and it seemed to work pretty well. So right now I've got it terminating pretty much where the porta potties are, right there at the parking area. So, and I don't have any information on what you are planning there. If you have something, man, please.
We can't do much. It's all floodwood.
Yeah, but you have some plans, don't you? I mean,
We're very limited since it was
No,
very
we
limited.
have done quite a bit of work, road work,
Yeah,
because it was just mud. And
Yeah.
now we brought in road
gravel, yeah,
base
I saw that.
and, have flattened that all out.
So go down,
what I meant by that, like building structures or anything.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I meant.
so is that compatible with, I know it's compatible with what you have out there today.
Yeah.
Is it compatible with whatever plans you have in the future?
Well, there's really not much there today.
Yeah, it's gonna be green space per, these are all buyout per FEMA requirements.
buyout.
Yeah.
So tell me more about what goes on at this park legally.
I think people are
Fishing, swimming,
fishing, yeah,
Okay.
sometimes swimming,
canoeing, drop off.
Okay, so it's kayaking
Yeah,
now?
kayaking, yeah.
But I mean, you have,
It's used a lot.
as you say, the path ended where the paths meet, where the porta potty is, then what is this path that's coming from the lower portion and then sweeping across? Is that going to be, or is that a second phase
That's
of that?
No, it's part of, that's the shared use path that goes back to downtown. Go back one
Underneath.
sheet.
No, I thought you just said a little while ago that the path was going to end at the porta potties.
Yeah, so go back down to the next drawing. Yeah. Scroll up a little bit. See how the path just ends?
In the park.
Yeah, right there. It just ends. That's more or less where the porta potties are.
So then what's all that other stuff going beneath
It
it?
ends going that direction. It still goes the other.
It's still going across.
Yeah, if you go left, that's path to downtown.
Yeah.
If you go right under the bridge, that's to the parking area.
Oh, the parking.
Yeah, just over.
Do you have the other slide on the left? Oh, there, okay.
Would be great if we could extend that.
Going out this way.
So let's talk about this parking area. Does this resonate with you? Does it appeal to you? Do you need it? Do you not
Well,
need
we're
it?
gonna need parking down, I mean, my thing was that going Southeast River Road, that long term, like I said, with Green, we don't have enough parking downtown. I vision, I'm no expert, but I vision that could be a parking area for the parks and for downtown.
Which is where I started out. Can you go to the first page of that document?
The only thing about the parking area there is that TxDOT has also expressed concerns about people walking across 1979.
That's why we need sidewalks and so.
That's part of the safety deal.
And did you see the huge pecan tree there in that parking lot space there?
I'm not taking out any big.
Oh, it's a beautiful pecan tree there.
So, when we had our last workshop, we talked about, this being a major, okay. The problem that I encountered was that from here to there, quite an elevation drop off. Very difficult to put a shared use path, you'd have to have all these switchbacks.
Mhm.
So it didn't make much sense to me to extend this any further, because of the difficulties with the grade.
It's low right there, yes.
Yeah, in fact, it's a depression. Water does not drain out of the ponds, right?
Mhm.
It should, that's what the map said. So I think what you suggested earlier makes all the sense in the world. Up in that triangular area, establish that as a parking lot, mainly for downtown. You can do shuttles, you can have golf carts. I mean, you can do some pretty neat things there. But I thought this gave you a safe parking area with an existing driveway within walking distance.
I'm just thinking long term down the road.
Yeah, and then who suggested then going across to where the, end of Crockett is?
That was me.
The pallets in the way.
I think that's a good idea to explore when you're doing this downtown plan.
Yeah. and then walk down Crockett and get back downtown now.
The only thing I'll say about the triangle there is that for many, many years in the 70s, that was a landfill and a dump.
Oh.
And it was used for a dump, and I think then they came to the decision to just cap it off as a dump. So you may have to look into the history of that, how long it was a dump, what was actually dumped there, were any measures taken to remediate that. Also the Schmidt property, the Doc Cochran property, he basically just almost squatted there and lived there for a long time. And what he allowed people to do is also dump stuff on his property. And so as you're coming up to where the house is on the right, between the low part of the gravel pit and where it slopes up to his house, that's all landfill dump. So just take note of that. But that's a beautiful spot there where the Cochran place is here. And I didn't think that the Goins had that little triangle next to it. I thought we had a little triangle. I think, we must have the smaller triangle.
On the other side.
Well, no, it's beneath the red dot, where you've got the red dot where it says shared path and it's pointed. And then there's another triangle right beneath it. We own that.
Oh, this.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, Tom, you want to be awesome. Look, I just thought about this. If you got these great connections with TxDOT, right there, right down, see that, where the magic mark and that sidewalk starts on the other side of 79, have a crosswalk there. That would be awesome to have some pedestrian crossing that you could park your car, have a pedestrian walk, you walk across, you got it right there, and then you can walk to downtown.
That is not gonna happen.
You're not gonna happen.
Now, what you have is a high-speed highway. You have no stop condition. You don't have a yield sign or a stop sign or a stop light. And it's a mid-block, it's basically unsafe.
It's a straightaway.
And
There's no way around it.
TxDOT's gonna absolutely say no on that. That's why they've said no up there by Fannin Street. It's
Yeah,
kind of the same problem.
Yeah, that's a real,
Yeah.
maybe that roundabout,
Maybe it's not a bad idea.
because that's gonna be a problem there, but.
Again, I'm putting in crosswalks, setting up a fight with TxDOT.
Would they,
We'll see what happens.
would they allow, like, maybe a flashing, not a stop, but a flashing?
I wouldn't even suggest it.
I've already
You know,
talked to them.
whoever put up that cutout of that girl, that wooden girl, as you're coming around that corner on 1979, it makes you slow down.
It
That
does.
was ingenious. I don't know who did that, but it was a good idea.
All right, let's talk about what I would call amenities. Let's talk about lighting first. Bring up the SUP. Anyway, there's different, I didn't do a very good job of showing you lighting.
We have something here.
So
Is it any of these?
there's lighting shown there. So there's 2 or 3 kinds of lighting to consider on this project. One is what I would call kind of standard, like in this picture, second from the left on top. See that pole there? Kind of regular looking overhead lights.
Could you make that dark sky compliant? We have that.
Yeah, the hoods
Yeah.
are, you could go with solar lights,
There you
solar lights now. Those poles can be decorative. Okay, there's, what I would
But you
call,
know what? We got another problem. Well, that's a flood issue. Some of it's in the floodway.
Yeah.
So, that's gonna be an issue.
there's other kinds of light, there's baller lighting where you have a baller that's about this high and it has a lens right on it. It shines down. And then when we get to the downtown area here, we're gonna have to have lighting underneath your ceilings. You can do decorative lighting, you can do combinations. In the grant application, you get points for lights, or emphasizing
Oh, okay.
lights. So not all the trail has to be lit.
Okay.
But you should consider lighting some of it, and I think the downtown area is
That'd be the-
probably the,
That'd be
you know,
place to do
the
it.
main street part of the trail, I think ought to be lit.
And that's higher ground.
Lockhart Street, you could probably go with some standard streetlights and get enough lighting there, but I think it needs to be lit too. The stuff going down to the San Marcos River, I'm not too hot on lighting it, but it's really up to you guys.
Well, there's, I mean, you know, in 15, that water was over the bridge. I mean, it cranks through there.
You'll probably lose any poles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I hate to have that infrastructure lose.
So as far as the lighting, you mentioned downtown, could that be recessed lighting in the awnings? Or are you saying standalone fixtures? I mean, if it's downtown, it has to look historic. It can't be some slim pole or whatever. I mean, I know we've got telephone poles that are wooden, that are historically correct. Those were here in 1920, but and I'm sure Carlton as well. I mean, it concerns me about how this lighting will look through the downtown district. I'm concerned about that.
I think that's,
Well,
all I need,
Not
all
dark
I need,
sky. I'm talking about how does it, what poles are we using? How is it gonna look?
Yes.
all I need to know for the application is what areas do you want lit?
oh, yeah.
And when you come back and do your downtown plan, then you could get into the details of
Lighting,
what it
Lighting
looks
fixtures.
like.
What it's gonna look.
Okay.
I guess I have no problem with lighting, just that, but we'd hate to lose the infrastructure. Okay.
All right, other amenities like furniture, benches, planter boxes, landscaping, trash cans. I took a picture of a bike service. The other PDF.
What about planting cypress trees
Planting cypress trees, yes,
along the trail
yes, we can do that, absolutely.
for
I have
shade?
a question.
Go,
There's bikes on.
oh, see the upper left picture there? That is a little bike service. I actually took that in Bentonville, Arkansas, where I was this weekend visiting my daughter. But there's an air pump, there's tools, there's a wash down for your bike, there's a water bottle filler. You know, that's something that you can, you know, put in a corner or something. Great amenities that you know, facilitate bikers. And hard to even notice it unless you're looking for it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Amazing that
It is
it
cool.
stays standing without even getting hit over by cars. There's no barricades or anything around that.
Laura had a question.
I have a question. Being that, my house is on Main Street, is there any way that we could consider putting up dog bags along the trail?
Sure.
That would
Oh,
be
that's a good
great.
suggestion.
Yeah.
For those of us who walk hard.
Oh.
Mhm, which is a lot of people down Main Street.
Especially when you got that trail, there'll be dogs and people everywhere
Mm-hmm,
walking. I'll be one of them.
mm-hmm.
I want to thank Carlton for having the first and only mud mitt station and bag dispenser in Martindale. Thank you.
Trash cans?
Yes, please.
Let me see the,
What now?
That was, would you say,
oh, will you bring that PDF up of the mend? Yeah, you had it.
The one.
Just go down a couple of sheets. So they give you some ideas here of what you could do in the downtown area. Here you got brick pavers for your pavement, some decorative light poles, historic plaques. Here's some landscaped area. Here's like an entryway into downtown. Just a different kind of paving. This is a place in Arkansas that went to a one-way scenario. I think that looks pretty cool, actually. Just some landscaping, rest areas. Scroll up a little bit. Benches, planter boxes.
side trees, I like that.
Yeah, trash cans. Here's a good look at how they separated vehicle traffic from bikes. Planters.
Well, that curve you're talking, yeah.
Is there anything on there that appeals to you?
I like the trees.
I like the grass.
Yeah.
The street lights look good too. The lamp posts look pretty good.
There was a comment about the dark sky lighting. I'm not exactly sure if that would be compliant.
Which one?
The
Lamp
these exact lampposts, maybe something that,
Oh, they look so nice.
Right. Maybe something with a,
We could talk about
They
that.
look historic.
Lighting,
Yeah, I think
but Lottie
that's,
and I agree downtown, you know,
I just want to get some money in there for it,
you got it.
and then you guys can
I
work
agree.
out the,
Load it up,
the detail later.
load it up.
All right. Go to the next page on there. Here's some more pictures of what shared use paths can look like. The crosswalks do not have to be boring. You can actually paint them weird stuff.
That'd look nice on.
That's a
that'd look
big
nice
trend.
on 1979, just a little
Yeah,
wavy.
looks
Yeah.
like a river
Like
or
a river.
something.
TxDOT will love that.
Oh, yeah, man. Go for it, Tom. Wildflower lady, that's cool.
Well, and we did plant some wildflowers earlier.
Go to the other side. What's on the other side of that drawing? Let's see. Yeah, wildflowers.
is the San Marcos zone.
That's the river zone.
I think
Man,
really,
San
really,
Marcos has done so much.
it would be really nice to have a lot of shade trees on that for the summertime, if you're walking down that trail.
The environmental education side would be nice, but they're sort of just neither.
That'd be low on the list.
It would be the icing on the cake. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
What is that?
environmental education signs. Can you
Oh,
go
yeah.
down a little?
Yeah.
There, right there.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The back of the
Education.
river. And you can hear the-
Just make sure we're, I wouldn't put it close to the river because of flooding, but yeah.
But anywhere along, especially through.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, and
Allen
that in and
Allen
of
Basin.
itself helps people remember to take care of the environment and to like limit their trash.
That'd be a great spot for Allen Bays. That's high enough ground. Now, phase one's too low. But yeah.
Or along anywhere on the sidewalk.
I'm trying to think of any other questions I need to ask you, but I can't think of anything.
Looks good to me.
A couple of benches would probably be nice, because I know there's a lot of older folks that walk a lot around the neighborhood, and being able to stop and sit down for a minute would probably be helpful for at least, I don't know, a handful of neighbors I can.
You know, get back to the shade trees, the cypress trees on San Marcos, they plant trees in remembrance of people that have passed.
Mhm,
And we could use that part of the program and dedicate trees. I think
mhm.
we also have a bunch of shade trees going down. You could put those on the river, you could put those in the floodway because cypress trees survive.
Bicycle racks. Need some bicycle racks.
That's a good suggestion.
And I mean, and I'm surprised that you did put in a crosswalk going to Fannin Street across from the park, because I have tried and reached out to TxDOT and they have said, no. I mean,
Well,
I-
we were gonna get it.
well, I mean, I
Want me to
called,
take it out?
I just called them to try and repaint the crosswalk and they said, no. You know, we can't do it because.
We have Mr. Turk do that. He's the text expert, right there. We got the guy.
It's got connection.
You don't call him anymore, Sam.
I gotta have the mayor behind.
Hey, Mayor, Sam, you're not allowed. They blackballed you.
Okay, good.
Or maybe Tommy can call him. Tommy got those signs put up. All right,
What else?
it's good to be.
Okay, so
Amazing.
when do you
Is there any
want
way
us
we
to
can
have-
highlight the parks that you're actually,
You guys.
like this, there's a signage here. Is there a
Yeah.
way we could do like a grand,
Well, Blake, that was a long one today.
What, when would you want us and the downtown Chamber of Commerce to have a meeting, to figure out some of our, conceptions about
Oh,
downtown?
downtown? What I would suggest is you bring a consultant on board
Thanks for coming.
for that.
Thank you for inviting me.
to guide you through that process. Because there's a,
You mean the city hire a consultant?
yes,
They're all the same interest.
absolutely.
He thinks we should hire a consultant perhaps to have a downtown consulting meeting or?
Yeah, and there's a creative design component to that. There's a public and business involvement component to that. It's really, really important. Yeah, you don't want to try to do this one yourself. You need some outside help. That's an important plan for you all.
Do you have a suggestion who to talk to?
Mend Collaborative, I can get you in contact with.
What's their name? Do you have a name?
Mend Collaborative. We work with them in Sunset Valley. We got a really good partnership going. And I love them, they're
MEND?
creative.
MEND? Okay.
And so we should do this like in the next few months.
How
soon do we need to do this?
if you get selected for this grant in October, there's no doubt that you should do this.
Right.
If you want to begin before that, that's even better. But for the purposes of this grant, I'm going to have to make do with what I got. And I think I have enough to communicate to them some ideas of what you all want to do. But I just think this downtown area has so much potential to be a special place. And you need somebody with creativity behind them to make that happen. So.
Well, let me ask Carlton then, do you think that you would want us to wait until October before we collaborate and talk about this some more? Or do you want us to try and just conceptualize some things before then?
Well, I mean, some of us are talking regularly,
Okay.
all sorts of.
And now that you've heard this, then you can expand that dialogue perhaps yourself.
Yeah, I think people involved in that need to be talking first.
Okay, thank you.
Curious if we can use the sales tax on that. Not the sales tax, the hotel motel tax fund on that downtown plan to improve tourism. It's a bit of a creative interpretation, but to use the hotel motel tax fund to fund that downtown plan or consultants,
Yeah, we thought we could do that.
would be pretty interesting. So an interesting thing to look at in coordination with the commerce downtown. Since, you guys are involved and that's their expertise, and hopefully not like green, but that we have our own identity that people outside of town can come to.
So let me introduce you to Robert, who wrote the email
Oh,
that we
yes.
sent to you earlier.
I got your email, yeah.
Okay, good. Like I said, I just had questions on the plan that was there. Just
Do you want to look at the maps here?
I mean, I've seen the maps. I don't, in my opinion, I don't think a 10-foot shared use path works on Lockhart Street.
They've
I think
changed
sidewalk-
a little bit.
change.
So
sidewalk works, but not-
it's been amended.
It's been amended.
That's now a 5-foot sidewalk in the right of way of Lockhart.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Like I said, 10 feet, I didn't think would work.
Yeah. So just for reference,
Do you have it where
Here's
it's
that
past his
5
house there?
Where do you live?
5-foot sidewalk instead of the
Right there.
shared use path.
He's between Bowie and Crockett.
Oh, okay.
This area. He's on this panel.
Like I said, just the power lines or those poles are there within that 10 feet spot.
Yeah, so the 5-foot sidewalk would be aligned right outside of those poles towards the pavement. So you asked, did somebody go out and look around? Yes.
Yeah.
Will the utility poles be relocated? No. But we may have to relocate some guy wires. Okay. You asked about easements. Will the water meter and sewer cleanout be relocated?
Those would have been within the 15-foot
Yeah.
So if you're at 5 feet, you're fine.
Yeah, the answer is yes. We knew we would have to adjust meter boxes and whatever might be there. What materials are used for a shared use path or sidewalk? Concrete, it could be asphalt, it could be decomposed granite, it could be stabilized decomposed granite. What else?
Brick.
Could be brick. Yeah, so we're gonna price it out as concrete because that's very expensive. And if we wanna use a different material later, we can do that. We just wanna get the money. Let's see. Have all the residents been personally notified? I don't think so, although these meetings have been advertised publicly. And you might wanna expand on.
Tried to email as many people as I could. We put out, flyers.
We're starting a campaign to inform, especially those affected along the path. If you had signed in, I welcome you to sign in, and I'm gonna be sending these templates of letter of support of the project. If you so choose to sign it, but I also wanna extend these out to all the addresses identified along the entire plan, which is the design here. It's just,
You share some concerns about the shared use path in relationship to the pavement and the delivery vehicles and all that. Here's what I wrote. I said Lockhart Street needs to be reconstructed.
We just reconstructed it.
In fact, I know you have a growing list of what to do with the MIT mod money. I think this Main Street and Lockhart Street need to be on that list for consideration, along with all the other needs that you have. But at least you need to be thinking about it. Because Lockhart Street's a pretty important street.
Yes.
And if we're able to reconstruct Lockhart Street and control the drainage, then it's much easier to get that sidewalk in there. So, and you can combine projects and grant funding. So it is doable. Something to think about. Plan does not appear to include crosswalk at the post office. We have put that in.
I did see that in a different
Yeah,
one.
it's.
there it
Same
is.
direction on that.
And I agree with the rest of your comments you had, so, thank you.
I was thinking through this. I want to get people off the street and onto the path,
That's the whole idea.
but not beat anything.
Yeah, someone made a comment, if we have a 10-foot wide path that's paved, they'll start driving on it. It'll become a road.
You'd be surprised.
Is this the new road?
You'd be surprised what I see on the road.
Or off the road?
I understand.
Well, and especially by the Catholic Church there, we definitely are gonna have to be
Very enterprising.
So when they have their bazaar in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
they'll be parked in my yard, both sides of it, so. It's just, well, I mean, I don't mind, but I'm just saying, if the sidewalk's there, now they're on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Thankfully, it's only once a year. So it's not this weekend coming, but it's the next weekend. The 4th and 5th or 5th and 6th. What the best
So
day?
they have 2 events.
Oh, do they have to?
There's 2 events where they're in my yard.
What's the other one?
I don't know, but they were there.
Oh,
Like, and again, there's not any, because there's not any other place to go. I mean, there's not any other park. I don't mind, and that's why, I mean, my plants are kind of with that in mind, but
yeah, on Saturday night, they'll be clear down to the Three Rivers Street.
Yeah, they're all down my front yard. It's public easement.
what it is. Hey, have you ever went? There's lots of good food there.
Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely.
Ooh, wow, yeah.
So you're gonna take these with you or leave them here?
More than happy to leave them here.
You think we should just have them for persons to see? I think.
Yeah, if people come in and have questions, then you've got something to show them. They're all yours.
We'll leave them here. So is that, did you have any additional comments?
Oh, I wrote down everything. I got great
This has been
input.
great.
Nobody got in a fight. This is great.
Well, a little bit at a time. Now we just have to get the paperwork in. We just have one more week to get the rest of the
Yep.
stuff done.
I'll be busy.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
If you would like to sign in, appreciate it.
Jonathan, I was really